Rice is one crop that Nigerians cannot do without, but sufficient local production has been an issue over the years. Let's talk rice tonight. Good evening and welcome to the program. Varieties of rice are grown in Nigeria, some of them believed to be traditional varieties, while others were introduced and disseminated by research institutes across the nation within the last 20 years. Rice is produced in 18 states across the 6 geopolitical zones. Out of this number, only 10 states have the capacity of 2 seasons farming, with Kebbi State topping the list with 2.05 million metric tons in wet season and 1.51 million metric tons in dry season. For so many years, despite the increase in rice production, the total output was insufficient to meet the ever-increasing domestic demand. What followed was massive importation of rice. Nigerian markets were flooded with all brands of parboiled rice, which their nations of origin, including our neighbors, do not consume. This created parallel markets for domestic and imported, with the latter enjoying huge patronage by Nigerians. Today, the situation is taking a new dimension with the federal government's rice revolution policy, which has stimulated local rice production in the last 3.5 years. The result of this development is part of what we'll find out in this edition of the program. Plus, the perception of Nigerians on local rice consumption and the state of affairs in the rice processing infrastructure across the nation. I will be speaking with Dr. Idu Edwin, team leader, Rice Africa. My name is Kirian Umayo. It's another weekend and another edition of your weekend companion. But first, here is the news. Now, the National Convention of the Governing All Progressives Congress, APC, is about now starting at the Eagle Square, Abuja. About 7,000 delegates will be participating at the conference. Now, let's join our man there, Fisayo Ogunfuyi, who will give us a situation report about how the preparation is taking place. Hello, Fisayo.
At the Eagle Square in Abuja venue of the 2018 Presidential Convention of the ruling All Progressive Congress. Let me quickly bring in the chairman of the committee of this convention, and it's none other than Senator Abiola Ajimobi, Executive Governor of Oyo State. What are we expecting tonight?
I think basically we are gathered here to affirm and confirm the nomination of our president, President Muhammadu Buhari, by the elections already conducted at all the local and state levels, so as to present him as the flag bearer of our party for the 2019 election, for which, by virtue of the achievements of the party, of the man, we are sure to win that election.
Thank you very much. Let me quickly go to the Northeast. We've seen people coming in even from your zone as early as 3 o'clock this afternoon. Tell us the mood in the APC at this time.
Well, the mood is electric. People are here, as rightly captured by the governor of Oyo State, to celebrate democracy. Ours is a grassroots mass movement, and we are here largely to affirm the candidacy of President Muhammadu Buhari. And for us in the Northeast especially, where we face real existential threats, his coming was almost a godsend, and his appeal there is beyond human imagination.
Thank you very much. From the Northeast, we'll go to the South-South. What is the mood, especially from the contingent from your side, as far as this presidential convention is concerned?
You can see excitement. We're all seated there, and we are hoping that as soon as the president arrives, we'll be able to affirm what we did in the different states in the South-South. We believe that the president is equipped to govern the country, and we're prepared to face PDP in the next election and other parties.
Do you think that after all these exercises, the party has come on stronger?
Well, if there are areas of disagreements, the party chairman and the president and the campaign structure will meet with everybody to resolve whatever differences there are.
Thank you very much. We've been speaking with stakeholders in the All Progressive Congress as concerns tonight's convention. As we told you earlier, delegates from all 36 states and the FCT have converged on Abuja to affirm the exercises conducted last week in the various zones to affirm the candidature of President Muhammadu Buhari. My name is Fisa Ogunfui, and it's back to the studio, and we'll be giving you updates as far as this convention is concerned as it continues to unfold right here at the Eagle Square.
Okay, thank you indeed, Fisayo. We shall return to you in due course for further analysis on the APC convention taking place at the Eagle Square. But for now, in the studio, I have a political commentator, Dr. Abdulrahman Abu Hamisu. Good evening, and thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Nigerian.
All right, your general comment on the APC National Convention.
Well, it is one convention that is quite interesting. It is interesting that, as the stakeholders rightly pointed out, it's going to be an affirmation, which is quite different from the normal horse trading where you have a lot of contestants. So in this case, it's President Muhammadu Buhari, but all requirements of the Electoral Act must be followed. So I think this is what called for the convention.
Electoral Act will be followed. Would that be voting?
Yeah, because the Electoral Act, if you've gone through the Electoral Act, especially Section 87, subsection A to A1 to 4, it talked about the processes of nominating a candidate, especially for the president. The convention must ratify, even if he has won the popular vote where there are contestants, they have to equally follow that process by nominating the president and affirming him as the candidate that has won the highest vote. But in this case, he's the only candidate in the race, and he has won the highest vote so far.
So what are we expecting tonight at the convention?
It's more or less like an affirmation of what we already know, because the presidential primary was conducted. It was through direct primary, and the president emerged scoring the highest vote. So there was nobody that was equal, that was actually contesting against him. So what is taking place in the Eagle Square today, or at the Eagle Square tonight, is to affirm the president that we're following the due process as stipulated by the law to nominate him as the flag bearer for APC.
So he appears to be a consensus candidate. But what does that portend for internal democracy in Nigeria?
You see, we cannot start evaluating internal democracy, especially within the context of APC now, because there were no contenders that contested against Mr. President. Mr. President remained the sole candidate because those that have the interest to contest against Mr. President moved out of the party and they went into another party, and that left Mr. President as the only candidate of his party. So what is being done now is just the normal ritual of following the processes as stipulated by the law, so that nobody will go to court tomorrow to say section of the Electoral Act was not followed, or anything was done in violation of the Electoral Act.
What should be the process of this affirmation? Would there be physical voting, or would that be vocal affirmation by every state? How would it unfold?
Well, we've always kicked against the voice vote. It must follow the normal process. If it's going to be voting, it's going to be voting. But the normal process ought to be voting, and that is what's supposed to be done. So even if they're going to affirm, all the delegates ought to be given their ballot papers and cast the ballot, and then the result will be declared.
So now, what do you envisage? Do you envisage any dissenting voice in this program?
Well, nothing is not possible. Anything is possible. Because we do.
Somebody can just come up and say, "Look, I disagree. I want to contest."
No. It's late. It's late already, because the primary was conducted across the state, the 36 states of the federation, including the FCT, and Mr. President emerged as the winner because he got the highest vote. And unfortunately, nobody was contesting, as I rightly pointed out. So what is being done now is to say that the processes we've started from the World Congresses through the primaries now to the convention is to ratify the candidature of Mr. President.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Abdulrahman Abu Hamisu, a political commentator. Thank you for coming.
It's my pleasure.
On Weekend File tonight.
It's my
Thank
pleasure.
you. And I was still awaiting as the preparations unfold. We'll rejoin Fisai Ogunfuyi when that happens. For now, let's return to some other political news that we have tonight. Now, results for the APC Senatorial and House of Representatives primaries in Kwara State are yet to be released, while voting is ongoing for a governorship primary. Yabude Olorunshola, who is monitoring the exercise, now tells us more.
Late arrival of voting materials and electoral officers delayed accreditation and voting for today's exercise. As at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, most centers, especially in Ilorin East and South, were filled to capacity with electorates, security officials and INEC officials who were on ground to monitor the exercise.
We can't say exactly the time the train will finish. To say we are just started by 11 o'clock. There is a lot of problems because some card have no serial number.
Also from OFA, report says accreditation and voting commenced around 12:30 in the afternoon against the earlier scheduled time of 10 o'clock. Yabodi Olorunshola, NTA News.
All right, meanwhile, Abdullahi Musa Suleja compiled reports of the governorship primary elections that took place in Enugu and Adamawa states.
Senator Ayogu Eze clinched the party's governorship ticket in Enugu State, polling 53,967 votes out of over 66,000 votes cast. Head of Electoral Committee, Professor Moses Omomo, who announced the results, said 3 senatorial candidates, among them a female, 7 House of Representatives, and 24 State Assembly candidates have emerged. One of them is Director General Voice of Nigeria, Osita Okechukwu. Rayanu Bala reports that in Adamawa State, results are being awaited as collation is almost concluded in the peaceful exercise that took place in the 21 local government areas of the state. Governor Muhammad Jibrila, Muhammad Halilu Ahmad, and Malam Nuhu Rubadu are the 3 aspirants for the direct primary election in the state. Abdullahi Musa Suleja, NTA News.
And now, more political news. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, governorship candidate in the 2015 election in Lagos State, Jimmy Abaje, is again the party's flag bearer for the 2019 governorship election in the state. He emerged winner after defeating his opponent, Adedeji Dohote, during the party's governorship primaries, which held in Lagos. Meanwhile, the National Convention of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, is in progress in Port Harcourt, Rivers State. Correspondent Kingsley Amaji reports that the 13 aspirants are contesting to emerge as presidential standard bearer for PDP in the 2019 general elections.
Accreditation started late in the evening as delegates from each state positioned themselves in groups to elect the presidential flag bearer, clad in clothing embossed with the colors of the People's Democratic Party. Delegates are to elect a presidential candidate out of the 12 aspirants for the 2019 general election.
All our leaders have actually declared that we are going to have a free and fair election.
PDP is bringing highly focused leadership.
The first 2 national conventions of the party held in Jos in 1999 and in Abuja in 2003. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo emerged after both conventions. He ran and won with Alhaji Atiku Abubakar as his running mate. In December 2006, a special PDP National Convention elected late President Musa Yar'Adua in a joint ticket with former President Goodluck Jonathan to win the presidential polls in 2007. Another special convention of the party held on January 2011 at the Ego Square, Abuja. President Goodluck Jonathan, who ran with architect Namadi Sambo, got elected. The December 2014 special convention, the 5th in the series, held in Abuja, with incumbent President Goodluck Jonathan at the time running as sole candidate. It was also a joint ticket with Namadi Sambo. They both lost to President Muhammad Buhari in the ensuing election. The 2018 PDP National Convention is holding in Port Harcourt for the first time as leader of the opposition to choose its presidential candidate for the 2019 poll. 12 presidential aspirants are contesting for the party's flag. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
Now, in line with the Independent National Electoral Commission's deadline of submission of names of presidential candidates by parties before October 10th, the Democratic People's Congress held in its convention where Williams Awoshola emerged the flag bearer for 2019 presidential election. Ahmed Ondas Ahmed has more on this story.
No, we are grassroots level. The grassroots people will enjoy us. We carry them along.
Well, we are here in conformity with the provisions of the Electoral Act, which gives INEC the mandate to monitor the party primaries of political parties that are registered. And that's exactly why we are here.
With these remarks by both the party's presidential candidate and the representative of INEC at the convention, the race for 2019 presidential election by DPC has kick-started in earnest. The standard bearer of the party, in line with the party's slogan of moving forward with the people, is hopeful of coasting to victory with the support of people at the grassroots. The standard bearer pulled 45 votes to beat the only female contestant who got only 9 votes at the end of the election. But in the spirit of no winner, no loser, the second runner-up was immediately nominated as the vice presidential candidate for the 2019 general elections.
We're going to be working closely all through the campaigns. We're going to have to support him and work to make sure we take power by the grace of God in 2019.
The party is going to call for a strong constitutional conference that we address our constitutional problem in the country.
Ahmed Ondas Ahmed, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Independent Democrat speaks Edozie Madu as the presidential standard bearer for the 2019 presidential election. Tunji Adepoju reports that this was at the party's national convention in Abuja.
The presidential standard bearer of the Independent Democrats, Honorable Edozie Madu, emerged through a voice vote at the party's national convention in Abuja. Delegates were unanimous in arriving at the choice of Honorable Edozie Madu, who promised to implement far-reaching reforms in governance if he wins the election.
They will channel that money into funding the increase on the minimum wage. We've done the statistics, 180 just for a start. As president of Nigeria for the very first 1 year of the president, 180. It might still go up.
Independent Democrats is one of the 91 political parties in Nigeria. In Abuja, Tunji Adepoju, NTA News.
And now in more primaries, Professor Peter Nwangu emerged the presidential candidate of We the People Nigeria to contest the 2019 presidential election. He was nominated unopposed through voice vote at the party's convention in Abuja. John Yaku was there for NTA News.
Those who affirm and support that Professor Peter Nwangu will be the presidential candidate of We the People Nigeria, say yes. Yes.
That voice vote affirms Professor Nwangu as the standard bearer of We the People Nigeria. The philosophy of the party is to build a new democracy that is corruption-free from bottom to the top, and the presidential candidate of the party is positive that it is the alternative.
Only the clear-thinking Nigerian grassroots, the common man, has the power to sack bad leaders through their votes.
A former Minister of Education, Dr. Obiageli Ezekwesili, shares the view that the people are the most powerful in a democracy and therefore must be wise in delegating powers to politicians in office. INEC officials observed the conduct of the convention. In Abuja, John Yaku, NTA News.
And now away from politics, the federal government will maintain zero tolerance for insecurity and corruption in Nigeria. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo said this at the 2018 passing out parade at the Nigerian Defense Academy, Kaduna. Suleiman Abdullahi Rigachikum reports.
130 cadets of the 65 Regular Corps Army
120 Nigerian Navy cadets, and 166 regular course cadets Air Force in a passing out parade after 4 years of intensive military and academic training at the premier military institution, the NTA. Various competitions in sports, drill, academic pursuits, and character conducted during the training.
Across the north central and northwest of the country, we've made progress with regard to stemming the tide of communal violence, farmer-herdsmen clashes, cattle rustling, and kidnapping. The Special Intervention Forces deployed to the hotspots, combining ground forces with air support, have helped put the purveyors of violence on the back foot. We are not yet out of the woods, of course, but the progress we have seen in recent months emboldened us to continue the fight.
Saying the administration is determined to enhance operational capability and welfare of the armed forces through massive investment in critical infrastructure.
And this explains why the President has already ordered a review of all of these issues of welfare and issues concerning many of our troops, especially those who are in areas of conflict at the moment.
He also said federal government is committed to the release of all girls still in captivity of Boko Haram through partnership with states, civil society organizations, and all relevant stakeholders. From Kaduna, I am Suleiman Abdullah Irgachikun, NTA News.
Minister of Finance Zainab Ahmed has directed the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, and the Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDCIC, to fully investigate and prosecute all directors and executive management who contributed to the collapse of the defunct Sky Bank PLC and other deposit money banks in liquidation. The minister gave the directive during her visit to the management of the NDIC in Abuja. Musa Abubakar was there.
It was the first visit of the minister to any parastatal of the Ministry of Finance since her assumption. Her concern on the visit is on the spate of non-performing loans in the banking industry, noting that the bailout of distressed financial institutions was necessary in the interest of the stability of the banking system. She advised that decisive action be taken against those found culpable so as to serve as deterrent for other operators in the financial system.
The rules that you have for monitoring banks should be done in such a manner that it is, as a matter of routine, you are getting, whether you are there physically or not, you're getting information on the work that the bank is doing.
I know that you will be interested in the performance generally of the banking system. I would like to say that, all said, I think the banking system can be said to be generally healthy, performing, given the most of the critical indices.
The visit is part of the effort to reassure the public that safety of depositors' funds and minimal disruption of banking services is among objectives of government in ensuring a stable economic environment. In Abuja, I am Musa Abubakar, NTA News.
You're watching Weekend File on the network service of the NTA. One may not be wrong to assume that rice is the most staple food in Nigeria, considering its consumption rate in the last 4 decades. But policies and programs to achieve sufficient local production by successive administrations failed. Tonight, we will get to know what the current administration is doing differently in our correspondence reports coming up very shortly. Keep it here with us. I will be back in just a moment.
What's inside this beautiful house? Inside, there is a very beautiful family. And in this family, there is a lot of love. And inside this love, there's Alpenliebe. And in the center of Alpenliebe, there is a feeling made with rich milk and creamy caramel. Alpenliebe, the milk-filled candy that warms your heart with love. Alpenliebe, bring hearts closer.
The Association of National Accountants of Nigeria, ANAN, announces its 23rd Annual Conference of Certified National Accountants. Theme: Economic Recovery and Growth, Issues and Options. Venue: International Conference Center, FCT, Abuja. Date: Monday 8th to Thursday 11th October 2018. Time 9 a.m. prompt. Keynote speaker, Mr. Kiari Bukar, Chairman, Nigeria Economic Summit Group. Host, Alhaji Shehu Usman Laden, President and Chairman of Council of Anan. Chairman of the conference, Professor Samuel Edjomukumo, Vice Chancellor, Niger Delta University, Bayelsa State. The conference will be declared open on Tuesday, 9th October 2018 by His Excellency, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, GCON, Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Dr. Nuruddin A. Abdullahi, Registrar, Chief Executive, Announcer.
Fake news which is shared for malicious purposes is a danger to our peace and security in Nigeria. Misinformation as fake news is a serious threat to our hard-earned democracy and promotes hatred and misunderstanding between our communities. We are all responsible for stopping the spread of fake news in its tracks. So, always check the source and credibility of any news item. Say no to fake news. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information.
National Food Production and Security has enlisted the country among the major food producers. Records of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture indicates that importation of rice has dropped significantly, with the country saving over 200 billion naira being spent on rice. In this report, Musa Babali takes a look at the success story of the Buhari administration in rice production.
Rice is one of the major staples most Nigerians consume. It has been established that an average Nigerian consumes about 30 kilograms of rice annually. The demand for rice for the entire country is therefore put at over 8 million metric tons annually. In spite of this demand, output of the producers of the commodity has been low due to environmental factors.
Their plan was to go to China or Japan to bring in rice that can tolerate, let on our own develop rice varieties that can tolerate flood.
With the new variety produced by the Nigerian researchers with the support of the African rice, the output per hectare of the rice has increased from 3 tons per hectare to 7 tons per hectare depending on the location.
Nigeria import rice bill, which used to be 1.65 billion annually, has dropped appreciably by over 90%. We therefore want to thank His Excellency the President of the country for making this possible.
The country now has 27 integrated rice milling industry against the only one in 2015.
With synergy from all stakeholders, we have the ability and the potential to produce and market rice for 11,000, 10,000 naira.
In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Thank you indeed, Musa. The National Cereal Research Institute, Badegi, Niger State, has released about 67 varieties of rice to farmers and fabricated machines to boost the production of the crop in Nigeria. Jones Ajayi reports. All right, we will return to that in a short while, but let's go to Ebonyi State. In Ebonyi, the federal government initiative on rice production has contributed largely to the efforts of local farmers to increase the national gross domestic product. Chika Okorie reports.
Determined to meet the rice need of Nigerians and beyond, as well as maximize its value chain for job creation, Ebonyi State government, in collaboration with the Anchor Grower Scheme of the federal government, invested 6 billion naira on 40,000 rice farmers with a projection to have a multiplier effect on the 996,000 metric tons of rice produced in 2017 using certified Pharaoh 44 seedlings. A leading producer of organic rice and State Commissioner for Information and Orientation, Senator Emmanuel Onwe, speaks on his experience with emphasis on the establishment of biomass plants.
We have a rice farm in Igbo where we concentrate exclusively on organic rice farming. Since the government of Governor Mahi came on board, obviously he emphasized agriculture and specific emphasis on rice production. And we're also trying to establish a biomass which is what the government is doing.
Despite factors like paucity of funds, untimely distribution of inputs, and lack of irrigation system militating against rice production in the state, the installation of 3 additional modern rice mills and other clusters across the state has helped to reduce post-harvest drudgery, thereby giving birth to the rebranded Ebonyi Rice World.
As at the moment, we have not started exporting, but we are targeting it because from 2017, we started having so much that our people cannot consume.
Packaged to suit categories of customers, a 50 kg bag of Ebonyi rice sells between 10 to 15,000 naira, depending on the variety.
It has taste. I mean, it's so easy to cook, doesn't need much ingredients, and this is natural.
Known for its nutritional content and affordability, building a stronger synergy among relevant stakeholders will determine export value of the produce in the near future. In Abakaliki, Chika Okore, NTA News.
All right, thank you, Chika. We now return to the Research Institute in Badege, of course, which has distributed 7 varieties of rice to farmers. Let's return to Jones Ajayi.
Of Series Research Institute Badegi is to ensure that improved rice seedlings of different varieties are provided to the farmers to increase their output. The institute is also charged with the responsibility of training farmers on best agricultural practices. To meet up with the mandate, the institute has been able to research and produce rice varieties that are suitable for various ecologies, such as the low and upland rice and mangrove rice, which are fit for all year-round farming. The varieties produced so far are high-yielding, pest-resistant, and have the stability to grow across all ecologies.
Most of the varieties, that we have released now, they are gradually replacing those varieties that the farmers were used to.
The institute is also into fabrication of machines for small and medium-scale farmers, such as rice threshers, winnowers, cleaners, parboilers, and rice mills aimed at boosting rice production. However, one of the challenges facing the institute is its inability to produce the agricultural machineries in commercial quantity, as it only produces on request. The farmers who spoke to NTA News appreciated the Research Institute for introducing various farming technologies, which they said has improved their yield per hectare.
Before, if you do 1 hectare like this, we are get 4 sack, 5 sack. 1 hectare now, we are get 20 sack, 30 sack.
The officer in charge of adopted villages and schools of the institute, David Gainer, said the farmers who patronize the institute are now smiling to the banks. The federal government rice initiative is yielding positive results, but more effort is required to improve on it.
It is already a success story. What remains is just, additional effort by the government, to implement those policies.
It is hoped that rice farmers will continue to take advantage of the rice varieties produced by the Cereals Research Institute Badegi to further boost their yield. Jones Ajayi, NTA News.
Thank you, Jones. And we will take another short break. But when we come back, we will be hosting Dr. Idu Edwin, team leader, Rice Nigeria, also the head of Department of Agriculture Extension, University of Abuja, who will be joining me in just a moment. Stay with us.
When it comes to 30,000 naira, 30,000 naira to somebody is 1 million naira.
I just applied online. I did not know anybody.
I'm under carpenting. I was given saw, bar, tenant saw, hammer.
Federal government is able to mobilize me by giving me 1 iPad to aid me in carrying out my exercise.
So the money that was given to me, I was able to establish some little farm, and this building we are standing on.
I also have a goods that I train.
But with the exception of the Empower, I've been able to do some little contribution that have actually helped me to put the money together and been able to service people.
My thanks goes to the President, President Muhammadu Buhari, for this thing that he has done for the youth of Nigeria. So we are grateful.
All right, now for the interview segment, here is Dr. Edwin Idu, team leader, Rice Africa, and also, as I informed you a short while ago, the head of the Department of Agricultural Extension, University of Abuja. You're welcome to Weekend File. Yes, you know, every administration comes up with one policy or another in respect of, rice production. This time around, the current administration has come in with a rice revolution policy. Now, how successful has that been?
Yeah, in Nigeria today, we are moving from import alliance to self-sufficiency. And we are also having a new narrative in that direction. The new narrative now is towards rice exportation. Because right now, the gap between demand and production has been slim over the years. For the last 3 years, because of government anchor program, government different initiative in the area of rice value chain, from production down to the table. Government has been supportive, and because of that, that has encouraged the farmers. It has also encouraged the processors. And with the new mindset, enlightenment has given us that opportunity that our locally produced rice that people were looking down and not patronizing before, people are now going for the locally produced rice because it is more nutritive and it has a better taste. So we are having a better comparative advantage over the foreign rice. So because of that, the local farmers are encouraged to produce. More millers are coming up. Government is supporting these millers. And the Anchor Borrowers program is really helping in that direction.
So those are some of the elements of the rice revolution. Now, are you envisaging rice exportation when we are talking about self-sufficiency in rice production, knowing fully well that it's the most staple food in Nigeria?
The new direction we are going now is towards export, because in self-sufficiency, we are almost there right now. The slimming down of the gap between demand and the supply right now is very slim. Last year, we were looking at 5.8 million metric tons. 5.8. That was what we were looking at last year, while the demand was just about 7.8. But this year, as we are going to go to December, you know, we are going to expect more output because of the cycle, the third cycle that will see come up of output. So we are believing that that gap is totally going to close, and then we'll be talking of export, because more countries, especially West African countries and even some European countries, are getting interested in our locally made rice because of the comparative advantage over the foreign rice. If you are taking any food products, you are talking of the taste and the nutritive value. The nutritive value and the taste is what people are interested in. This enlightenment has been created, and people are now buying into that.
Now, in 2015, President Muhammadu Buhari actually introduced Anchor Borrowers program. Now, you mentioned it in passing in your initial comments. Now, let us know what that is made up of and how it has impacted in rice production.
Yes, the Anchor Borrower program is an initiative of the federal government, and it's the organ of the federal government that is spearheading that is the Central Bank. The Central Bank is supporting farmers and processors, and the federal government, the Ministry of Agriculture, is also involved. So they are bringing all the stakeholders to the table. In supporting the farmers, they are giving the farmers inputs and also cash. The farmers are supposed to pay back the loan. The loan is not just given to farmers in cash, but the inputs are given and parts are given in cash. The farmers are expected to pay back. And we have discovered, we have seen the success story in some of the, especially KB states, and it has been expanded to about 28 states now. We're also seeing success stories in Ebonyi State. You have seen the highlight there. We're also seeing success story in places like Bauchi. So this is encouraging the farmers and processors which are benefiting from this Anchor Borrowers program.
Now, let's talk about varieties of rice in Nigeria. Well, in our initial, the introductory aspect, of this program, we mentioned the fact that there are several varieties in circulation. We also have the traditional varieties. From what Jones Ajayi told us from Badege, is that that singular institute has introduced over 7 varieties. So how many varieties do we have, and how nutritious are they? Or is it just maybe some have nutritional value while others do not?
Yeah, the varieties come in different phases. There are some that are pest resistant. There are some that are short duration maturity varieties. There are some that are resistant to drought. So they are coming in different phases, and depending on the challenges the farmers is facing. If you know that your area you are facing the issue of drought, then you go for the drought resistant. And if you are facing the issue of pest in that community, then it's advisable you go for pest resistant variety. But we also have the wetland, we also have the upland. So, and these varieties is what NCR is involved in, and the federal Ministry of Agriculture is also partnering with some other agencies to bring up different varieties too.
Okay, now there are 18 states that have been known for rice production in this country, and only 10 out of that number have the capacity to produce all seasons. That's both wet and dry season. What is the secret, and what can be done to ensure that all these 18 states of the country can actually, harvest in 2 seasons?
Yeah, the issue of harvest in 2 seasons or even 3 cycles is because of rice is water friendly, and in lowland you can achieve that easily, but in upland you cannot. So it's the issue of water friendliness. If the farmer is in lowland, and we have the Fadama farmers, we have the wet farmers, they can produce even 2 or 3 times in a year, because we have short duration varieties that within 3 months is going to mature. So you can do that cycle 3 times or twice in a year.
Now, what should be the role of irrigation system here? Because many Nigerians believe that it is only through irrigation that they can achieve a 2 or 3 cycle, harvesting of rice.
Yes, that is important because, like I said, that rice is water friendly, and it's the irrigation system that provides that. So that is very important. But apart from that, the farmers that are in lowland, especially farmers that has the opportunity of going into Fadama rice, they can also go to it because they are in the lowland area.
So now, why I raise the issue of irrigation is the fact that the federal government plans to stop rice importation this year.
Yes, and that's why I told you that we are now at the threshold of exportation.
Threshold, yes, yes. But it's not yet to Uhuru. Yes. Now, what can government do to achieve this, knowing fully well that not all the states that are involved in production of rice have access to irrigation? One, government has to sustain the Anchor Borrowers program. Government should not be in a hurry to pull out of the Anchor Borrowers program. Government has to sustain that. 2, there has to be more enlightenment, education of the farmers. We are talking of education here. We are not talking about just teaching farmers how to read and write. But we are talking about empowering farmers with knowledge that will make them to be more resourceful and to accept innovation. So this is important, so that government will sustain the Anchor Borrowers program, because the changes we are seeing and the improvement we are seeing in terms of capacity utilization of the processors is because of the support from the Anchor Borrowers program. And because government have seen that, farmers have seen that government is interested and government is supporting, they are also willing. But again, we have advocated in different fora that government should establish Agricultural Cluster Development Agency. This agency will fast-track the development of clusters, because in the success stories we are having from Ebonyi State is because of this policy mix, and this policy mix is coming from that aspect of the cluster system. Okay, policy. Ebonyi State is having a very good policy mix. I think I like that. It's very interesting because we hosted a commissioner of agriculture, Ebonyi State, who told us here that in Ebonyi State markets you cannot find any foreign rice, and that leads us to the next question, which is the fact that many Nigerians are complaining that local rice is more expensive than that of imported ones. And what about the price differential?
Yes, this is why I say the narrative is changing. Few years down the line, 10 years before now, people were not going for locally produced rice. People were thinking that there's high impurities, and because of stone, so people were avoiding the locally produced rice. But now it has changed, and it's good for our farmer because the essence is to increase. When we say we are encouraging farmers, is to increase their income in the first place, is to increase the income of the processors too. So the narrative is changing. And it's changing because people are now being enlightened that the issue of stone or impurities is being taken care of because of the modern rice processing equipment that can that we have the stoner now that can take care of that, and impurities have been removed. But the advantage here that we have over the foreign rice is because of the quality in terms of the nutritive value and the taste of our locally produced rice.
Okay, I can see that you're so concerned, about exportation of rice. Now, what is the exportation value of Nigerian rice? Will it be easily acceptable to the destinations for export, for instance?
And that is what I've mentioned, that some West African countries and even European countries are interested in the Nigerian locally produced rice because of the quality. Because if people are going for any of these food products, they look at the nutritive value and the taste. So we have a very good potential to export rice in the near future.
Look, let me ask you this question, because many states have taken positive steps, towards rice production, such as a collaborative, arrangement. We know one between Lagos and Kebbi State, which has, come up with a lake rice.
Yes.
What level of collaboration is also existing among other states of the Federation?
Yes, if we are going to achieve success, if there's going to be success in the near future, synergy is very important. And synergy is bringing people together to collaborate. And then everybody will bring what he has to this table. And I think it's important because this stakeholder forum and bringing and creating synergy is important for all the states to come together so that we can achieve success in this country.
Yeah, from all you have enumerated, are we now sure that there will be total stoppage of rice importation this year? Is there a possibility?
It's possible because what the importers and smugglers are painting a very gloomy picture of the country and making people to believe that we are not self-sufficient yet, and so they want to import. But that is not the real thing. The truth is we can achieve that, and we can do that if we really encourage the farmers. I hope you know that the success we are achieving now is just from the small-scale farmers. The smallholder farmers are the ones giving us this success. So if more people go into mechanization, rice mechanization, and large-scale farming, I think we are going to see a tremendous change. The small-scale producers are doing very good, very well in that, because 0.5 hectares, and they are producing 2 times in a year and giving 4 tons per hectare. I think it's a very good one. They are trying that direction. So the small-scale farmers, we need to encourage them.
All right. At this point, I'd like to thank you for your thoughts. And, of course, you have successfully educated many Nigerians on what the rice revolution policy of the present administration is all about, and what has been achieved and what we envisage will be achieved in the future with respect to rice production in Nigeria. Dr. Idu Edwin, team leader, Rice Africa, and also the head of Department of Agriculture Extension, University of Abuja. We didn't have time to ask you about agriculture extension in Nigeria, which of course people believe may have died a long time ago.
Yeah, I would have told you how we can wake it up.
That's a topic for another day.
Yes.
Thank you indeed.
Glad to be here again.
All right, you're still watching Weekend File, a bit of sports and weather when we come back.
Brought us as usual.
As usual. You have no problem.
For the three put
You are welcome, sir.
as usual. Yeah. I was.
You take that one. You take that one. You don't understand? We want Nigerian homegrown rice. Finish. You don't have. You don't have.
Join the rice revolution today.
No other rice that tastes like Nigerian rice. Are you sorry? That's the Nigerian rice we are talking about. Chocolate made in Nigerian rice. Healthy food. I'm going to bring Mrs. Mobo to come to chocolate rice of made in Nigeria here. And see how it are made.
Correct.
And how they are cook it.
Correct.
Homegrown rice are good for your health. It boosts our economy and give employment to our people.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Tom Jumbi and Pranjala Yadpalali emerged champions of the first week of the 2018 Lagos Open Tennis Tournament as Nigerians assist the Nigerian amputee football team in a bid to attend World Cup in Mexico. Olumide Oguntola is our guide on Sports Update.
Winners have emerged at the first week of the 2018 Lagos Open Tennis Tournament